Stone from Stone Bodyworks, and I have prepared for you today a warm-up sequence. So we're going to start this on the floor and it's going to come to standing at the end. So it's a really great warm-up sequence, or just a daily movement sequence, honestly. But when you're kind of feeling low on energy, you don't feel like moving too much, but you got to build the energy from the day. For the day, this is one I'll use for that. So we're going to start on all fours. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. If you have sensitive knees, place some padding under the knees. Spread your fingers wide. One more piece to this. If you have sensitive wrists, bring your forearms to the floor for this. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate with straight arms. So we're going to take a moment to find a nice long spine. Sit bones reaching out towards the wall behind you. Make sure that your belly is lifted up so your spine is straight. Chin is in retraction, crown of the head reaching away from you. So we'll call this neutral spine. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, round your spine into flexion, also known as cat stretch, or sometimes you might hear me call it a rainbow. So we're going to inhale and reverse the curve of the spine. Collarbones and chin lifting, sit bones lifting. So this is extension of the spine, sometimes called cow or a smile. So let's reverse that. Exhale, rounding into flexion. And then inhaling, bringing the head and tailbone up into extension. One more time. And after this last one, we're going to bring ourselves back into that straight spine that we began in. So see if you can find that straight spine. Lifting your abdominal wall up so the spine is elongated. From this position, we're going to stretch out through the right arm and through the left leg. And take a moment to pause here. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring your elbow and knee together. And then you're going to inhale, stretch out. Let's do that 4 more times. Exhale, round your spine. Try to keep your standing arm, the one on the floor, nice and straight. Inhale, stretch out. Exhale, rounding your spine. Inhale, extend. You can get a little extension if this does not feel good for your lower back to do this. Stay more in neutral. One more time. Exhale, round. Inhale, stretch back out. And then release. As your hands and knee come to the floor, take a moment to find your neutral spine again. Find your breath, and we move into the second side. So left arm extending out, right leg extending out. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, round and bring everything together. You're trying to get your elbow and knee to at least touch underneath your body, maybe even kind of past one another. Exhale, everything comes together. 3 more here. Inhale, stretch out. Notice my standing arm is staying straight. Exhale, round. Last 2. Inhale, stretching out. Exhale, rounding into flexion. One more time. Inhale, stretch out, reach through fingers and toes. And then exhale, bring it all back together before releasing back onto all fours, taking a moment to find your neutral spine. From this position, we're going to round back into flexion. And then drop the spine back into extension. And then we're going to release back into a child's pose for a moment. Stretching your fingers forward, reach your sit bones back. And then we're going to inhale, roll the spine up, coming into a tall kneeling position. From this position, zip the front of the pelvis up. Pull your abdominal wall back. Chin in retraction, crown of the head to the sky. So we've got a nice elongated spine. We're going to move into the hinge and roll up. So you're going to hinge, press your butt back towards your heels. The roll up happens with this posterior tilt as I roll my spine back up into this nice tall posture that we began in. Let's repeat that for about 4 more reps. Okay, we're going to hinge, butt goes back. Okay, spine stays straight, but then we round the spine and scoot back up. Rolling back into that nice tall posture. 3 more times. Hinge and a roll up. I like to place my hands on my pelvis just for awareness. It kind of helps me push back. And then I roll back up. We want to do that posterior tilt as you roll up. 2 more times. Hinge, roll up. So we're trying to get a bigger range of motion. So ultimately trying to get your sit bones, your butt back to your heels before rolling up. In this upright position, the knees, the hips, the shoulder, and the earlobe all in the same line. Hinge, posterior tilt, rolling all the way back up before releasing back down into a child's pose. And as you come into your child's pose, use this as the opportunity to connect with your breath. So take about 3 breaths here. We're going to keep this an active child's pose. That means your fingers are reaching forward. Ideally, your forearms are off the floor and your sit bones are reaching back. Take 1 more breath here. And then we're going to inhale, roll the spine back up again, coming into that tall kneeling position, aligning knees, hips, shoulders, and ear. Now taking it into the quad rock. So we're gonna bring the arms forward. We keep the abdominal wall drawn back. We're gonna lean back from the knee joint and then come back up to this nice straight line. Okay, hinging back. And then you're gonna go ahead and come forward. As you're leaning back, what tends to happen is this here. Don't let that happen. You gotta use your abs, pull your abdominal wall back so that your spine, your lumbar spine, stays straight as you lean back at your knee joint and come forward. So this is really good to wake up and strengthen the fronts of the thighs. Let's do that one more time. Find even more awareness reaching up through the crown of your head. Leaning back at your knees, abdominal wall in, so spine is straight. Coming all the way back up, hands onto the floor. Exhale, rounding your spine into flexion. Hold here for a couple of breaths. And allow the weight of your head to relax down to the floor. And then with an inhale, bring the head and tailbone up. Hold it here for a couple of breaths and extension. And as we're here, try to pull your whole shoulder away from your ear. And you'll get a little bit better stretch through your neck with this one. We're going to bring ourselves back into neutral. And you're going to push your rib cage to the right and to the left. Okay, right and to the left. So lateral flexion of the rib cage here. Just starting to open up and wake up the side body. Okay, a couple more on each side. And so you could think as your ribs press to the left, you're trying to bring your right hip and your right shoulder together. Come to center as my rib cage pushes towards the camera. My left shoulder and left hip come together. One more time on each side. So ribs go left, means right shoulder and right hip come together. Come to center, ribs go right. That means left shoulder and left hip come together. Drawing ourselves back to center. We're going to turn that into circles. Okay, so you're going to round into flexion. You're going to press your rib cage to the right. Drop it down to the floor, over to the left, up and around. Okay, do two more in that direction. I want to say as we're doing this, this is a challenging action for a lot of people. We tend to be very tight in our rib cage, so this is a really good way to wake up the sides of the body. The next time you find yourself in flexion, hold, and then reverse the directions of your circles. Make sure your breath is nice and fluid here, not holding your breath as you move through this. We're going to do two more in that direction, and then we're all going to come back to that neutral position of the spine. Okay, that straight spine. Nice. And then from here, round into flexion. Drop the spine down, coming into extension, pushing your collarbones forward, drawing your shoulder blades back. And then from this position, curl your toes under. And you're going to lift yourself up into downward facing dog. And in your downward facing dog, we're going to wake the ankles up by pedaling your feet back and forth. Okay, so as one heel reaches to the floor, the other one lifts up. And then we're going to take this movement even bigger. So instead of just pausing here with the heel off the floor, we're going to roll all the way to the top of the foot. So we're getting a full range of motion at the ankle. Let's do a couple more on each side. And then we're going to come back into a balanced downward dog. Step your feet a little bit wider, as wide as your yoga mat, or if you're not on a yoga mat, wider than your pelvis. Just find your breath in downward dog. And then we're going to walk the feet forward. We're going to go slow so we can take advantage of this calf stretch in between. So we're going to bring our feet back together in the back of our mat. You're going to lift up onto the balls of the feet, and then bring your right heel forward, land the right heel, and pause. Notice I'm lifted all the way up onto the tiptoes of my left foot. From that position, the left leg comes forward, but I'm also lifting up onto the ball of the right foot, and then left foot lands. Okay, slow with this so that you can get a nice stretch through your calves. Maybe rising up onto your fingertips if you need a little more space. Let's do one more on each side, lifting up onto the left toes, right foot comes forward. And then finally stepping your feet so they're a little wider than your hips. We're going to keep the fingertips on the floor, or you could be resting on yoga bricks here. You're going to drop your butt down and lift up. So nice little hamstring stretch. As you drop your butt, your chest lifts, and then you lift your sit bones back up. Let's do that 2 more times. And then we're going to hold at the bottom. So if this position is really challenging for you, you could always put a stool or a couple yoga bricks underneath your butt. We're going to lift and lower the arms for 5, 4. So my palms are facing in, elbow creases in, thumbs back. And on your next one, lift your arms up and hold. From here, we're gonna lift all the way up and release the arms down. Now we're in standing. So from this position, okay, keep your feet a little wider than your hips. We're gonna inhale, open the arms up, look to the sky. Exhale, release your arms down, drop your chin to your chest. Give me a nice little spinal roll down. As you get to the bottom, make sure your knees are bent, and then bend them a little bit more. To come out of this, we're gonna do a posterior tilt and begin rolling the spine back up into that nice tall position. Okay, lift through the front of the pelvis, pull the abdominal wall back, chin is in, crown to the sky. Let's do that 2 more times, dropping your chin to your chest, rolling down 1 vertebrae at a time. Knees are bent, and then do a posterior tilt and begin rolling yourself all the way back up, finding that nice tall posture so that the crown of the head reaches up, sit bones reach down. 1 more time, dropping chin to chest. Let your arms and your shoulder blades relax completely. On this last one, bend your knees a little bit more so your rib cage has a shelf to rest on with your thighs. Take another inhale. With your exhale, posterior tilt. Rolling yourself all the way up into that nice tall standing posture. And then from here, we're gonna open your arms up. I'm gonna do a tree hugger stretch, rounding into flexion. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, open up. This time, exhale, take your arms a little wider, a little higher. So as your arms go higher, the stretch goes lower on your spine. We inhale, open up. This last time, arms go low. As our arms come low, the stretch moves into that upper spine. Inhale, open back up. Take your arms overhead. We're gonna let the right arm drop down, taking it into a side bend. As you side bend, keep the tip of the chin in. Now the right arm's gonna scoop up, pulling you all the way back up to center. Exhale to the other side. Scooping that left arm up, rising tall as you come to center. And let's do that 2 more times on each side. Try to reach out through that right arm even more as you pull yourself to center. And then to the other side. Scooping that left arm all the way out and up, rise tall. Last time. So imagine each time you do this, you're trying to make yourself a little taller as you come through center. Last time to the left. Inhale, opening all the way back up. Now that we're up here, extend your wrists. Press your feet down. Draw the muscles of the legs up. Draw the muscles of the front of the pelvis up. Abdominal wall back, chin back. Pressing up through the crown of the head, reach down into your feet. Inhale, grow tall. But then exhale, get a little bit taller. Take 2 more breaths here. And then on that final exhale, let your arms release down. And take a moment to feel this really nice tall posture. All right, now you're ready to head into your day, or now you're warmed up for your workout. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.